Look, I had never heard of this book series until I saw the trailer for this movie, but I imagine if you're a fan of this book series, you're gonna think this movie is more than foul. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all new Talkin Movies. As always, I am your host, the real Gino Reynolds. And have you ever have you ever wasted an hour and a half of your life? I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have many times. Well, I wasted an hour and a half of my life today. Today we're going to be talking about Artemis Fowl, which was supposed to be in the theaters and went to the Disney streaming service instead. And honestly, I can see why. There's going to be spoilers in this review. Um, I'll just say this: if you don't want any spoilers, this movie's terrible. Even for free on Disney Plus, it ain't worth watching. It's a pilot for a TV show on the Disney Plus streaming service app at best, and that is at best. Um, this movie, yeah, it's about a kid named Artemis Fowl whose father um, is this collector, archaeologist type, um, collects antiques, but it comes to find out that he may be this world infamous thief, and he's being investigated. Um, and also, now he's kidnapped by a mysterious figure in a black cloak, um, who's evil to be evil, from the fairy world. Um, See, there's a fairy world, and I'm going to be all over the place with this. There's a fairy world below our world, and fairies aren't the beautiful things in our fairy tales. I mean, granted, a lot of them looked fine, but apparently, they're not what we think they are, basically. But underground, there's trolls and goblins and fairies. And fairies called, the fairy police force called leprechauns. I don't remember what the acronym was for, but it's leprechauns. And their armor is green, and they make stupid leprechaun sayings. Did you know that four-leaf clover is the F-bomb? Things like that. They say trying to say in a cool way, top of the morning to you. And, oh man, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, this kid, he has to find, he's being threatened by this figure in a dark cloak who kidnapped his father. Find this item. I don't remember what it was called, but it's this golden acorn thing. And I believe the logo has an acorn in it, so it's this MacGuffin that, the, I keep wanting to call them elves, but they're not elves, they're fairies, even though they look like elves. Um, they need the item because that'll save their world. Over their news network down in Fairyland, they tell you that. And then the bad guy wants it because if you have it, you have like the ability to open up portals to other worlds, and you could just move any armies or whatever you wanted. So it's about as generic can get, and it's up to the kid to find the item, but then of course find a way to stop the villain, even though he doesn't even get to meet up with the villain in this, because does this movie sequel bait like they thought they were going to get another one. Um, I could see him maybe doing a TV show for Disney Plus. That's about as far as it goes. As far as it goes, good luck getting Colin Farrell to play the dad and Josh Gad to play the dwarf, the man-sized dwarf, by the way. Um, so it's up to this kid to figure it out, and of course he knows everything, and he's smart, and he's not very good with people, but he's smarter than everybody, so of course he's the hero. He doesn't have to be likable or anything. Uh, so anyway, it's this whole, they don't do anything in this movie, man. Okay, you've got the leprechaun police. They can come up to our world, but they have to stay hidden. And by the way, they have mind wiping devices. They don't look like the Men in Black ones, but they're basically the same thing. But they can freeze time within a barrier for so long and like performing the actions because a troll gets loose and they have to track it down. But then there's also a story with this one cop I don't remember her name, and I don't feel like looking through this list to find it because the names aren't in order. It's in order of appearance for the most part. But it's this main elf cop girl whose father worked with Artemis Fowl's father, and he died protecting he gave Artemis Fowl's father this MacGuffin they're looking for, and he died doing that. And so, of course, that makes I keep calling him elves. Fairy police girl, leprechaun police girl, best friends with Artemis Fowl in the end. Do you see how much I don't care about this one? But anyway, the majority of this movie takes place at, like, for Artemis Fowl, all the answers are at the house and near the house. So they don't go anywhere. They don't do anything but defend the house against the leprechaun police, because the leprechaun police find out that he has the item, and they have to find it. And by the way, they're led by Judi Dench. She's the one that drops the top of the morning to you line. So I guess if you're going to have anybody trying to be tough saying that line, she'd be the one you'd want. But you have characters that don't matter. Like, okay, they try to make these characters seem important. Don't call him the butler, Dom Butler. His name is, I can't say it right. Damavi Butler. That's his name. But don't call him the butler. He's the butler. He's the butler. But he's like the sidekick, and they try to kill him off at the end of this movie, but it just so happens that the fairies have bring back to life magic that they used earlier in the movie, or like healing magic. But the magic's off in the house. They can turn magic off in an area, right? Why didn't they do this before? Or anywhere? I mean, they do it when they get there, but it's just like, it's a plot device. It's like, gee, I wonder if someone's going to get hurt, and then they're going to turn it back on, and they're going to be able to save him. Because, of course, the guy dies, and you think he dies, and then they save him. Because, of course, he's got to be there for the sequel. But yeah, it's Artemis Fowl outsmarting the fairies. But see, here's the thing. That's like the last half hour of the movie. The first hour of this movie, which, by the way, most of it is narrated by Josh Gad's character. He's a dwarf who, dwarves are good at tunneling and treasure hunting. They have this thing where they can cinch treasure. But he's a dwarf, but he's also a man-sized dwarf, and he just wants to be a little dwarf, like all of his brethren, right? And so he's narrating the majority of the story, and of course he's in prison at the beginning of this movie, and you're like, gee, I wonder if this is going to be that cliche of the good, he's going to escape at the end, and it's going to be the good guy that rescues him. He's just telling you this whole story to, kill time, right? Exactly what happens. Of course they free him at the end. But his character, okay, Mulch Diggums is the character's name. Mulch Diggums. And, okay, his character, they're good at digging. Well, what it is, it's kind of gross. It's almost Dr. Dolittle gross, or Doolittle gross. Sorry, don't want to mix up the somewhat okay Eddie Murphy movie with the horribly terrible Robert Downey Jr. one. Mulch Diggums, and all dwarves, I would assume, can make their mouths really big and in really bad CGI terms. And they can chew through the ground. And as they're chewing through, it's coming out of their butt. Kids' movies. It's gross. I mean, you just see dirt flying out of his butt. I mean, you don't see his butt, but it's like out of his boxers. And it's just gross. Also, he's got a magical beard that can pick locks. Because he's the one that's able to find this golden acorn. But yeah, Artemis Fowl doesn't even face off against the villain at all. The villain doesn't send any... The villain does have a spy within the leprechaun police force. But other than that, the villain doesn't have anybody. It's just the villain making threats saying, I've got your dad. And they find out a way to zap dad back to the mansion at the end of the movie. Because see, here's the thing. You've got Josh Gad's character telling the story, and it takes about an hour for him to set everything up. And then they get into, oh, we're going to fight and try to get this acorn from Artemis Fowl, and he outsmarts them, and there's just no movie here. By the time the plot gets going, you don't care. And it's not that creative. Everything seems cliche. It's like they're trying so hard. I don't know when this book came out or when these books came out. I wonder if it was around the time of Harry Potter, because that's what it kind of feels like. They're trying to set up another Harry Potter. It's Immortal Instruments or something like that. They're just trying so hard to come up with another, younger kids series. It's like, okay, even though I somewhat enjoyed the first Percy Jackson, it's like the second Percy Jackson movie, which I couldn't stand. And granted, I haven't seen the first one in a long time, so I'm sure my opinion probably has changed, if I were to watch it again. But this movie is a whole lot of nothing. And near the end, whenever they save the dad, they started to go back to the villain, and I just audibly, I'm laying in my bed watching it on my phone, and I go, no! And sure enough, the villain goes, no! And I lost it. I couldn't help it. This movie, even for free, it's bad. Even for free, it's bad. I can't believe they were even going to release this in theaters. And it's funny, and it's definitely one you see stuff in the trailer that you don't see in the movie. Makes me wonder if it was something they were going to do. And I don't know what the heck happened to this, because the trailer makes it seem like he was going to go on this adventure. He barely leaves the house. So I don't know how much got caught. I don't know, or cut. I don't know how much. I don't know what happened during production, and I don't care. Artemis Fowl is one of the worst movies of the year. Not just even for a kids movie. It's kids. They might get a laugh out of Mulch Diggum's, farting out dirt. I don't know. But this movie, it's not entertaining. The action's not that good. The effects aren't that good. The story is boring. It's generic. It's exposition heavy. Way too much exposition. If you got to explain that much stuff to set up your universe and only allow for a half hour of real plot device or real plot after that, then you don't have a movie. You have a TV pilot. And could they get a Disney Plus series out of this? Maybe. Should they make another movie? No. That's a big no on this one. I've heard fans of the book or books are really not happy about this movie. If you've read those books, let me know in the comments what you thought of this movie if you've watched it. This one, it's one of the worst things I've seen this year. I can't remember everything I've seen this year, as it's been a weird year. But yeah, I don't think I could sit through this one again. Even if they make a sequel or something, I probably wouldn't watch this again to remember what happened. And they introduce characters that don't matter. The butler guy has a niece, and they make it seem like she's going to be important. And you see her a couple times in the movie, and that's it. It's just not. It's not a good movie. I can't recommend it, even free on Disney Plus. I can't recommend it. Watch another, kids series. Watch Harry Potter again or something. I wasn't even the biggest fan of that, but I would rather watch that than this again. Yeah, can't recommend it. There's no magic here. It's foul. But anyway, that's going to be all for this edition of Talkin Movies. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Gino YouTube channel. Like this video. If you have anything to say about Artemis Fowl. And again, I'd like to know, those that read the book, what do you think of this movie? Please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Gino Reynolds. See you later.